Hello and welcome to the Warshipologists, and in this video we will continue the tour of the US World War II aircraft carrier USS Wasp CV-7. If you're new to this channel, please also see my tour of the hangar deck. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for watching, and I'm sorry for the huge delay in this series. We finished up the hangar deck tour at the forward end of the hangar, and from here looking forward you can see the staircase going up to the forecastle deck. You can also get to the forecastle by this door, which goes up through officer country. This was off limits to enlisted men, so most of the crew members would take these staircases, which were on the port and starboard side. This door takes us to the exterior of the ship, and an area known as the leadsman's platform is located here. It was where you could get a sounding of the depth the old-fashioned way by dropping a weighted line over the side. Overhead is the port forward 5-inch gun battery, and this creates a covered area through which you walk. In this photo we have come through the covered area and are looking aft. Looking up we can see the port forward 5-inch gun battery. The gun in the foreground has the barrel trained at 90 degrees elevation. I'll talk more about the 5-inch guns on the gallery deck video. In front of the guns is a staircase which takes you up to the catwalk, about 4 feet below flight deck level. In fact, you can see the underside of the flight deck through the life nets. And again, I'll talk more about the flight deck in my flight deck video. These cross-beam extensions enable the width of the flight deck to continue forward and not taper off with the shape of the bow as in the Yorktown class. If we continue forward on the catwalk, you can see a ladder for access to the flight deck, and forward of that is a gasoline station which was used to refuel aircraft on the deck. The pipework for the gasoline fueling system was kept outside the superstructure to reduce the risk of fires in the interior spaces. Directly below the gasoline station is the hose stowage space. A large hemp mooring line called a manila has been pulled out through the arch. According to the plans, there was a hawser reel inside for storing the lines. Barely visible is a hatch to officer country and a light switch box. The rope is wrapped over a paravane stowage rack. The boom for deploying the paravane is here. Paravanes were used to combat naval mines, and we'll see one on the forecastle deck. Here is a fair lead which the mooring lines would be fed through when securing to the dock. This looks like a heaving line which was attached to the mooring line and then thrown ashore for the line handlers. These 16-inch air ports, or portholes as I call them, are for the officer accommodation. On the next deck up was accommodation for enlisted men. In this shot we're looking forward and up at the catwalk. Another gasoline fueling station with hose stowage boxes underneath. Here is a walkway which passes under the flight deck and connects to the catwalk on the starboard side. 3 more fair leads, and here is the anchor observers platform. When hauling in the anchor, this was the place to see what the anchor was doing. The island ahead is Long Island of Boston Harbour, and to the right is Gallops Island. Here we have a fantastically detailed photograph of the forecastle deck. The anchor chains go into the hawse pipes and are connected to anchors port and starboard outside the hull. The anchors themselves weigh about 30,000 pounds, which is about the weight of 3 Devastator torpedo planes. There was 111 feet of chain, and this was divided into 90 feet sections called shots. The number of shots paid out depended on the depth of the anchorage. The chains are powered by the anchor winch, or Wildcat, whose motors are in the windlass space below. Once around the Wildcat, the chains go down the chain pipe, where they pile up in the chain locker a few decks below. When the ship was using the anchor, there would be around a dozen men working here under the command of the first lieutenant. When this picture was taken, that would have been Lieutenant Commander Campbell H. Minkler. He would man the telephone and communicate with the bridge. Other equipment visible are the chain stoppers, which transfer the weight of the anchor away from the Wildcat, a large wrench hanging on the centre stanchion, and here is a 7-foot Johnson bar used as a pivot to lift the chain, a giant shackle. The two open hatches go down below. The one forward to the bosun's storeroom and the aft one is an inspection trunk. Next to the Wildcat is the port capstan, which is used to pull in the slack from the mooring lines. This is a paravane in the stowed position. As mentioned before, they were lowered over the side of the ship to cut the cables of submerged mines. There's another one stored up here. This is the previously mentioned walkway connecting port and starboard catwalks. These are wicker fenders to protect the side of the ship from other vessels coming alongside. A wire rope reel covered. Refueling hoses tied to the deckhead. Spare wooden planks, perhaps for the flight deck. This is a view to starboard paravanes. This roller would prevent chafing of the mooring lines against the column. We can also see the bollards in this shot. This is a closer view of the aft bulkhead on the forecastle deck. There's a lot of things I've already highlighted, such as the paravane and the refueling hoses. This staircase goes into the berthing compartments for enlisted men, as well as the catapult machinery room for the flight deck catapults. These doors go into the officers' accommodation, and this hatch goes down to the windlass motor room where the Wildcats and capstans receive their power. These wheels are braking controls for the Wildcat. When the anchor is dropped, the Wildcat is disengaged from the motor in freewheel, and the chain pays out at speed. By turning this wheel, friction is applied to the Wildcat, retarding the momentum of the chain. The other wheel controls the direction of the motor, depending if you want the chain to pay out or pay in. As a comparison, here's a recent photograph on the forecastle deck of the USS Hornet Museum in Alameda, California. The ship was built around the same time as the Wasp, and you can see pretty much the same layout and equipment. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a like if you want to show some appreciation, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video, where we'll move up to the gallery deck.